Hey, I'm gonna give y'all two stories for the price of one. Now, I didn't experience these firsthand myself, but these are stories from other people who have told me their experiences, and they felt like they could share these with me because I'm not gonna judge them. Both stories are about the same thing, but they're in two separate locations. Now, what I found interesting is that both of these different locations have similar topography. Like, they're in a wooded area, it's secluded, it's near water. So keep that in mind as I'm telling you this story. I used to work at Bluebird, the bus manufacturing company in Fort Valley, Georgia. And one day, like, this guy who had got hurt on the job, he was taking medication because of, whatever had happened to him on the job. So he had to come sit with me for his entire shift. So that whole time we were just outside chopping it up, night after night. Eventually we ran out of stuff to talk about, and I could see on his face that it was something he wanted to tell me about, but he really didn't know how I was going to take it. So he kind of threw out a hook to me to see if I was going to bite. And he was like, hey man, you be working late nights or whatever, and you get off early in the morning, like you be driving through the woods. Have you ever seen anything strange? I said, nah, I ain't really seen nothing strange before. What, have you? He was like, well, man, I don't want you to think I'm crazy or nothing, but yeah, I have. And I ain't really told nobody about this, and I don't want you to sit here and think that I'm telling a fib or I'm lying or this is the medication speaking. So now he done piqued my interest. Like, my ears perked up. I'm listening to him now. I'm like, look, whatever you got to say, you can tell me. Telling me one night when he was getting off, he was driving home, and his house is like in Oglethorpe, Georgia. That's not far from Montezuma and Americas. And he was saying he was driving home, and being that he lives deep out in the country, like, he don't have many neighbors. He said as soon as he was getting close to his house, he was driving along his neighbor's fence line, and he could see somebody run across the road from the woods. Mind you, they're in the woods already. Somebody ran across this little 2-lane road and jumped over his neighbor's fence in one bound. He was saying that this somebody that he saw do this was way too big to be a human being. He was thinking, maybe I'm just tired, it's late, and my eyes are playing tricks on me. So he was like, maybe that's just what it is. I didn't see what I actually saw. However, the closer he got to that spot where that being jumped over the fence, he saw that the neighbor's dogs were just like going crazy, chasing after whatever it is that they saw. But now he's like, okay, for sure, somebody jumped over that fence. I saw what I saw, and now I'm seeing these neighbors running up and down the other fence line, chasing after something. Like, they saw something. I saw something, and they're barking at it and confirming what I saw. So he said at that point he was just completely freaked out because he know what he saw, and he knows that the dogs were chasing after something too. So he said he went to sleep that night, which he said he hardly slept, but he woke up the next morning and he talked to his neighbors, and he was like, hey man, did you ever find out like what your dogs was barking at last night? That's so he could confirm that somebody else did indeed hear his dogs barking. The neighbor told him, nah, I don't know what they was barking at last night, but whatever it was, it spooked them pretty good and they wouldn't get off of it. The guy was telling me he for sure knows what he saw, and that he feels like whatever or whoever it was going down to the creek that's behind his house to probably get some water or go fishing, doing whatever. My question is, for the people who live out in the country like this, like, have y'all ever seen anything similar or had any similar experiences? Let me know before I start on this part 2 of this video.
The year is 1961, and these men are on a boat in the middle of 2 islands in the Bahamas. Suddenly they spot something in the water and they're like, what is that? What they find completely shocks them. It's an 11-year-old girl alone on a dinghy boat. She had been at sea completely alone for over 3 days at this point, and little did they know she had witnessed something horrific. They quickly brought her on board, and she was in pretty rough shape. She hadn't eaten or drank anything in basically 4 days, and she was sunburnt, dehydrated, everything. So she could hardly get any words out at all. She got her name out and not much more. And then she just collapsed and she was out for a while. The men who saved her thought that, she had probably just been on a boat that sunk, but little did they know that that was not the case at all. It was a lot darker than that. This little girl was referred to as the sea orphan, but she had a name. Her name was Terry Jo Dupperalt. And only a few weeks before this incident, 1961, she was living with her family, very happy, normal life. She lived with her brother, sister, mom, and dad. Her dad, Arthur Dupperall, had always had a dream of taking his family on a cruise around the world. And his dream finally came true when he got them a boat. This boat was called the Bluebell, and their adventure was about to begin. Arthur himself didn't know that much about sailing, so he actually hired his friend to be their captain. His name was Julian Harvey, and he was actually a former World War II pilot. Julian was accompanied by his wife on the Bluebell ship, and she kind of was like the chef on board. So on November 8th of 1961, they all sailed off on the Bluebell to go around the world. Less than a week later, on the 11th of November, a man is spotted in the middle of the ocean on a dinghy boat, and he's yelling, "Please help, I have a dead baby on board." They go to help him, and he did. He had the youngest Dupperall child unalived in the boat. And this man was none other than Julian, the captain of the Bluebell. Where's the rest of the family? Where's his wife? He claimed that at 8:30 p.m. the night before, a storm hit the Bluebell ship and he wasn't able to save anyone. He tried to save the youngest Dupperall child when he found her in the water, but she was already gone. He actually had so many details to his story that it was kind of actually hard to find holes in it. It was hard to question his story. It seemed legit. And there was no one around to say otherwise. That's until a few days later when Terry Jo is found in her lifeboat. And she has a very different story to tell. They had brought Julian in just for like questioning. He's literally mid-interview / questioning with the Coast Guard, and someone runs in saying that she's been found. Oh, one of the Dupperall children have been found. And Julian's like, apparently he goes, "Oh my God, isn't that wonderful?" Which probably had everybody else in the room kind of like, do y'all see that reaction? At that point, Julian claimed that he was getting a little bit tired and then he was going to check himself into a motel for the night. Julian does exactly that. He gets a motel, checks in under a fake name, and unalives himself in the motel room. Little bit suspicious if you ask me. He did leave a note, but it didn't really explain anything like why he did what he did. It just said, "I got too tired and nervous and couldn't stand it any longer." That's what the note said, apparently. Terry Jo, like I said, was not in like a good condition when they found her, but she eventually did regain consciousness. Oh God, I can't speak. And was able to finally tell the real story. So here is that real story. The first few days at sea were peaceful. There didn't seem to be any arguing between anyone, and things were going well. The day before the incident, they were like collecting seashells on beaches, and it was all wholesome, seemingly. But then on the 5th night, Terry Jo wakes up to thudding and screaming coming from upstairs. In fact, she could hear her younger brother screaming for his dad's help, which is just like that's just so sad. And the brave little girl that she is, she makes her way above deck. She goes to see what's happening. And that's where she finds her mom and her brother on the floor with blood everywhere. Terrified and probably confused out of her mind on what's happened, she starts looking around probably for her dad, Julian, Mary, or her little sister. And she comes across Julian and he tells her to get below deck. He's like, go back down. She did as told and she goes back below deck, but then it actually starts filling with oily water and she realizes that the boat is sinking and she makes her way back up. She runs into Julian again and she's like, "Is the boat sinking?" And he says, "Yeah." At this point, the water's like waist high and Julian's apparently holding like a rifle. Julian then instructs her to hold the rope of the dinghy boat while he puts it in the water, but then she accidentally lets go of the rope and the dinghy boat starts floating off. That's when Julian jumps into the water and gets in the dinghy boat, and she watches him as he just drifts away, leaving her on a sinking boat with her family, nowhere to be seen. Well, she obviously knew where her brother and her mom were, but they were not responsive. She had no idea where her father was. She had no idea where her baby sister was, or even Mary, the wife of this man. Where is she? And all that she knew was that she had to get off of this boat. So she did exactly that. She found a little raft boat, gets in it, and drifts off into the ocean on her own. Mind you, she's only 11 years old. She must have been terrifying, and watching as the Bluebell ship sinks and she gets further and further away in a super not stable, tiny little dinghy boat in the middle of the ocean. And this now leads us back to the beginning of the story when she's found. And it's a good thing they found her when she did, because honestly, she probably wouldn't have survived much longer. It's a miracle that they came across her in like how big the ocean is. Now you're probably wondering, like, why did Julian do this? Like, what happened? And why didn't he kill her? Why did he leave her to survive? That is a question that no one really has the answer for, because no one knows why he let her live. She herself says that she thinks, you know, she was survived for a reason, but she'll never really know why he didn't. Now, in terms of the events of that night, people think that this is what happened. So Mary was not Julian's first wife, but his sixth wife. Very Henry VIII of him. And he was broke. He was in a lot of debt, not doing too good, couldn't get a job. And people think that, you know, he took out life insurance on his wife Mary, and his plan was to unalive her, get that money, and yeah. But they speculate that maybe he tried to do this on the Bluebell and was caught, and then had to get rid of everyone involved. That's what they speculate, but we will never actually truly know the answer. I feel just horrible for Terry, like losing your family at that age like that, like losing everyone. It's just unimaginable. And I hope she's doing well today. She apparently did not speak of the accident for over 20 years. She's married with kids and she's retired.
This man planned to have his ex-wife abducted so he could rescue her, and his plan went terribly wrong. Louisiana millionaire Michael Hanley paid two 27-year-old men in gold bars to abduct his wife at gunpoint so that he could save her. He devised this shocking plan soon after his wife Shonda had filed for divorce. She had also filed for multiple restraining orders. On August 6, 2017, the two men disguised themselves as appliance store workers and forced their way into Shonda's home at gunpoint. They put a bag over her head and loaded her into the back of a rental van, but encountered some unexpected company. Soon after the staged abduction, the van was spotted illegally driving on the shoulder of the road to avoid a traffic jam by an off-duty sheriff's deputy. While the deputy was just trying to pull them over for the traffic violation, the abductors sped off, initiating a high-speed chase. The chase ended with the men stuck in a swampy road and abandoning the van with Shonda still handcuffed in the back. Thankfully, Shonda made it out alive and well, but the two men were found drowned in a canal they had tried to cross in order to make an escape. While it isn't clear how Michael found out that his plan had gone south, he decided to flee but was caught 5 days later attempting to charter a plane. After being arrested and while awaiting trial, a detective began uncovering evidence of how Michael had planned the abduction, including a checklist he had made to organize it and the materials he had purchased to follow through with his plot. He had also rented the van in his own name. Shonda had later discovered a camera that Michael had hidden inside of a home the couple owned in Mississippi. In the month's worth of footage, Michael can be seen accidentally recording himself while he plans the entire thing with the two abductors. In court, he was forced to abandon his insanity plea when he was found competent enough to stand trial and was sentenced to 35 years in prison.
Huge breaking news. Do you remember the case of the 3 guys from Kansas City, Missouri who froze to death in their friend's backyard? Well, arrests have finally been made. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this case, I'm going to show you one of my other videos that has all the details, and then I'll let you know who got arrested. It's been a year since these 3 guys were found deceased in their friend's backyard, and this case has yet to be resolved. Now, I have a playlist on my TikTok called Kansas City Death, so if you want all of the details so far, check that out, but here's the short version. The guys are 38-year-old Ricky Johnson, 37-year-old Clayton McGeeney, and 36-year-old Dave Harrington. On January 7, 2024, they went over to their friend Jordan Willis's house to watch the Chiefs game, and then nobody heard from them for 2 days. So on January 9th, Clayton's fiancée April went over to the house, but Jordan wasn't answering, so out of pure desperation, she took the screen out of one of the windows and entered the home. That's when she noticed one of the men, I believe it was Dave Harrington, sitting in a lawn chair on the back patio. She called the police immediately, and after they arrived, they found the bodies of the other 2 guys out in the backyard. Jordan ended up answering the door wearing his underwear and holding onto an empty wine glass, stating that he had been asleep for the past 2 days and had no idea his friends were back there. Now, mind you, this window goes over the kitchen sink, and this is the dining room slider. And one of the guys was sitting right here in that chair. Jordan had an empty wine glass in his hand, which makes me think he went to the kitchen at some point, but yet he didn't know somebody was there. This is 38-year-old Jordan Willis, an HIV scientist with a doctorate degree, and within days of the bodies being found, he moved out of that house and checked himself into rehab. He also retained an attorney who, of course, said he had nothing to do with any of it. Now, the preliminary autopsy report showed that all three guys had high levels of fent, coke, and marijuana in their systems. With Jordan stating that he had been asleep for 2 days straight and had no idea what was going on, that makes me and a lot of other people wonder if he also had those substances in his body. What everybody's been wanting to know this whole time is, did he provide it? And did the three guys know what they were taking? Jordan told investigators that he went to bed while his three friends were still there and he had no idea what they did after he went to bed. But if he hadn't done that too, why was he asleep for 2 days straight? And why would he leave his friends outside in sub-zero temperatures and come back in? It's all just really odd, and the families of the three men feel pretty confident that Jordan had something to do with it, although, unfortunately, it can't be proven, at least hasn't been yet. Now, back in September, Jordan's attorney said he felt like criminal charges were coming just based off of his internal conversations with the prosecutors. But he said, "I can say in confidence that my client will not be charged in that regard." So it's been over a year and nobody really knows exactly what happened to these guys, and no criminal charges have been pressed on anybody. On March 5th, the Kansas City PD announced that Jordan Willis, he looks a lot different now, and Ivory Carson were both arrested. They were each charged with distribution of a controlled substance and 3 counts of involuntary manslaughter and face up to 10 years in prison. So look, the prosecutor Eric Sands said during a press conference that police found 2 plastic bags containing white powdery substances when searching Willis's rental home, each allegedly containing that and that. And as we know, all 3 of the men had both of those substances in their bodies when they died. They're both being held on a $100,000 cash bond, which in my opinion is an absolute disgrace. But at the same time, at least something is finally getting done.
I actually could not sleep after watching this.
So in 2017, a hiker named Gary Hinge went missing while hiking in the high desert of Nevada. His truck was found 55 miles from where he started his hike, and there were barefoot prints leading to the truck that seemed to not be from Gary. Now, Gary took videos of all of his outdoor adventures, and they found that a few days before he disappeared, he actually posted a video where he talked about finding a scary cabin in the woods and getting a really bad feeling from it. And how the morning after he found that cabin, he saw barefoot prints outside of his campsite that were not his. And then search and rescue found Gary's camera in the woods near where he was camping with his hand attached to it and the rest of his body missing. And the footage on that camera and what Gary saw in those woods is horrifying.
Let's talk about the woman that was frozen solid and survived. On December 20th of 1980, Jean Hilliard's car got stuck in a ditch and she tried walking to get help. In the morning, she was found nearly frozen solid in a cattle rancher's front porch in negative 22-degree weather. She was so frozen that when they got her to the hospital, the needles couldn't even penetrate through the ice. And her body temperature was so low, it didn't even register on a thermometer. Medical staff all thought she was dead, but they decided let's try to warm her up and see what happens. Gradually warming her up, they eventually got a beat of 12 beats per minute. And this method worked. She actually went on to make a full recovery, but how scary is this? And obviously the picture behind me is fake, it's just for illustrative purposes due to guidelines. But it's estimated she was frozen solid for about 6 hours. I feel like making a full recovery after this is actually like insane. I would have assumed the blood supply to your brain would be kind of non-existent and you go brain dead. I guess in her case, she got extremely lucky, especially for that 6-hour duration. Let me know what you guys think about Jean Hilliard's story in the comment section below. And as always, these videos are for informational purposes.
This lady said in her dream, and she thinks it wasn't even a dream, that the thing that was sleeping next to her was taking shape and taking form of her husband. This woman and her husband went to the Appalachian Mountains for a VRBO trip, Verbo, and they got there Saturday and left Sunday morning at 6 a.m. in their pajamas. When they got there, first of all, before they got there, they were feeling all right. When they got there, they got sick. She started having burning of the eyes and he had a headache. Then they decided to go to the store to get some Claritin. They thought it was allergies. Maybe there was something in the house. They also got a lint roller because they saw animal fur on the furniture. Got back to the house. Well, first of all, when they got to the store, they felt better. Got back to the house, they felt sick again. So ordered pizza, whatever. They went to bed. This woman said when she went to bed, she didn't even think it was a dream. She saw something laying next to her in her husband's spot that looked like it was decomposing. Eyes sunken in, face decomposing, but it slowly started to take shape of the form of her husband. And then what's crazy is her husband had the same exact dream that she had. So she gets up out her sleep, goes to the bathroom like 2 or 3 in the morning. Husband's laying there pretending like he's asleep because he's just trying to ignore what the hell's going on. And he ends up feeling something cold touch his foot. Like somebody took their hand and pushed his foot. He thought it was her, but it couldn't have been her because she was in the bathroom. So when she came out, he was like, let's pray. We need to pray at this point because something's not right. And she was like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Let's pray. So they prayed. Nothing happened. In fact, she said it just felt like they couldn't even breathe. She said it felt like they couldn't breathe. So long story short, they started hearing something that sounded like it was running around the Verbo. I think it's called Verbo. At that point, they were like, nope, we're not taking no showers. We're not getting no breakfast. We going home. We going home. I love them Appalachia videos. I love them. I'm gonna find them every time. Rub my feet together and watch me a good one.
This is the scariest thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life, and I wasn't even planning on making a video today, but I feel like I need to get out of my system because I have been welling up with tears and having full body chills from being scared. If you know me in real life, that never happens to me, so I feel like I just need to get out of my system. So this is that story. This happened 4 years ago. I was a freshman in college and I was talking to this boy at the time, and he caught me when I was coming home for the weekend from college, and he asked if he could take me stargazing. I say yes. He picks me up. It's maybe 11, 12 o'clock at night. He drives me to the state park specifically because I had never been before. And specific to note about this state park next to my hometown, it isn't, when I say in the middle of nowhere, I legitimately mean in the middle of nowhere. The closest gas station is like multiple miles away. Nobody lives near there. Yeah, you get the gist. So we get there. He originally parks in front of this watchtower. We're walking up the watchtower. Something to note about me. You're gonna know about 2 of my fears today. I am afraid of heights. The tower starts shaking from the small amount of wind, and I immediately am like, hey, I don't like this. We're about halfway up. I don't like this. Let's go down. So he's like, okay, I actually thought you might be scared, so I have an alternate way for us to go look at the stars, but we have to walk through the woods. Usually, and before I get any comments about that, I know, okay? I know. The only reason why I went is because he was like, it's like a minute and a half through the woods. Perfect. A minute and a half. No worries. I shouldn't have listened to him because it was a 10-minute walk, if not more. It is so dark in those effing woods that you cannot even see your hand in front of your face. Walking through the woods, I'm doing fine. My other fear is the dark. Okay, I'm a full-grown woman. I am exponentially scared of the dark. Like, unrealistically scared of the dark. We're walking, we hit a fence, and not just any fence, a barbed wire fence. By this time, my eyes are fully adjusted in the dark, and out in the distance, I can see a barn. Right next to the barn, I see a big silo, and if you don't know what a silo is, it's just this big metal structure that holds corn where I'm from. A lot of farmers have them, and I immediately ask him, is this someone's land? He doesn't really answer me, and I'm like, no, seriously, is this someone's land? Because I'm not going to get shot tonight. Because where I'm from, they're not going to ask you on their 5 acres of land what you're doing on their land. They're just going to shoot you because they don't know who you are at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Or I guess what you are. So finally he tells me it's someone's land, and I'm like, I'm not trespassing on someone's land. Like, no thanks. 3 strikes and you're out. I've walked through the woods. I have tried to conquer my fear of heights, and I'm walking in the dark. No. This is no. So finally he's like, okay, fine. Like, we'll go back to the car and I'll drive you home. As we're walking, I don't know what it was. The hair on the back of my neck suddenly stood up. I start to feel like someone is watching me. And all my girlies with anxiety like me, you know what I'm talking about. But this was different. This was different. This was like burning 2 holes in the back of my head because they're staring so hard. And it was so bad that I kept turning around and there was literally no one there. My eyes are fully adjusted at this point. There is no one there that I can see. And I start walking so close to this dude that I'm flat tiring his shoes, which means I'm like stepping on the back of his shoes every couple of steps, and he's getting super mad at me. But eventually I just grab his arm and I say, there is something out here with us. And I made sure to whisper it because at the end of the day, if there is a living human being out there, I don't want them knowing that I feel like something is wrong. And number 2, it was really quiet out there, like deafeningly silent. And he immediately tells me like, Elena, it's okay. Like your anxiety, it's okay. I understand that you're scared of the dark, but everything's gonna be fine. Like there's no one else out here. There's no other cars. Everything's gonna be fine. We take probably 3 steps and start to hear rustling. And immediately, this is when my breath literally is taken away. Like I'm like, I can't breathe. And again, he's like rubbing my back and he's like, it's okay. Like there is seriously no one else out here. You're gonna be fine. We're walking for maybe a minute. We have our flashlights out. From our right, a rock doesn't tumble out. It is thrown out into the middle of the path that we're walking. I mean, like, right in front of us. Like, someone threw it. This was a game time decision, right? Right. I left him in the woods. I ran so fast, I left him in the woods. I have never ran faster in my entire life. In all my running girlies, I ran for a minute. Sprinted for a minute. I get to his car and I'm trying the door handles and I immediately am going through all these scenarios. I'm like, what am I gonna do if if there is a person in the woods? So I'm trying the door handles. I'm going to like literally every door and all of them are locked. And all of a sudden I hear him giggling and like jogging out of the forest. And he was like, that rabbit really scared me. A rabbit? And I probably look disgusting at this point, but I legitimately lost my mind on him. I was like, since when do rabbits pick up rocks and throw them at people? Since when has that ever happened? But anyways, we get in the car, we drive off. The whole time I'm asking him, what do you think that was? What do you think that was? Do you think that was a real person? Do you think that was a ghost? What was that? And I don't think he took me very seriously at the time because he was like, whatever. Needless to say, I never talked to him ever again. And now I will elaborate on why it's so scary to me. I don't think that was paranormal by any means. Because when you experience something paranormal, it's almost like an instantaneous thought, right? You're trying to rationalize. You're trying to go through the scenarios in your head on how it is possible that that happened. This was different. I have never felt so fearful in my entire life. And let me ask you this. When you get home late at night, maybe after a night out, or when you get home from work, school, etc., what do you think you're going to see when you turn the light on in your room? Probably some decor, probably your bed, your desk, maybe a pet lives there, I don't know. But you anticipate on what you're going to see because you're prepared for what you're going to see. I'm not comparing bedrooms in the woods, but I was not anticipating someone else to be out there because there's no cars out there. There was no way for someone to get out there if they didn't get there before the sun went down, if you catch my drift. And I think there's something, at the end of the day, there is something so deeply frightening about knowing someone was watching you the whole time. And there is something equally as frightening knowing you never saw them. And then you have to think about a plethora of things. Like, why was that person following 2 teenagers in the woods without making their presence known? How did that person get out into the middle of the woods in the middle of the night? I left a key part of the effing story out. When we got there and we got our little pass, the state trooper or whoever was working there told us that we were the last people going in. So be that as you may, moral of the story, you never know.
Here is a horror story that happened to me and my best friend. If you don't believe in paranormal activity, just scroll because I'm not going to argue with you guys in the comments.
So basically, for a little bit of background information, every single time my best friend comes over, no matter the weather or anything, we usually watch a scary movie and then go for a walk. Don't ask why, that's just what we like to do, and usually there's like Taco Bell or some food in there too, but that's just what we do. We were like, let's go for a walk. Now, where we chose to go for a walk might have been where the part where we messed up, but we always go back here. Like, I go back here with my other friends. Like, usually it's fine. I've had 1 or 2 experiences back there, but that's for another time. Basically, it's like houses lined up, and behind their house and behind their backyard, it's like a small pathway where you can walk. And the pathway leads to train tracks and like a park. It's not even like a park. It just has swings and this huge slide. That's it. So I think it's like dead summer, and we immediately walk outside and a huge cold breeze just smacks me in the face. And I specifically remember that because right after that, I just got this bad like tension in my body that I didn't like at all. And I kind of like brushed it off just because I wanted to go for a walk. Like, I was bored. So like I didn't say anything, but she was feeling the same exact thing. And I figured that out after this happened. So maybe we both should have just spoke up, but whatever. Since we were both feeling a little like scared and, you know, tensed up, Aubrey started telling me a story, and I don't know what it was about. I think it was like this girl stealing someone's boyfriend. I don't know, it doesn't really matter, but the most important part is when she was telling the story, she specifically said they were saying this girl had a weird face. And I don't know if this was actually what happened, but in my head, she kept repeating it. She kept saying, this girl had a really weird face. Again, I don't know if she was actually repeating that or if that's just the thing that stuck out to me. But in my head, she said that 10 times. She was just like, she had such a weird looking face. Like, Megan, it looks so weird. It's like, I don't know. That's just like the only thing I remember her saying. And then she said something about like it looking like disformed, and I was like, all right, okay, let's stop. I was like, all right, let's stop, because I got this god awful looking scary girl in my head and I could not get it out. Specifically remember a huge ass cold breeze smacking my face again, and that's when I was like, oh my fucking god, my body like tensed up. I got like the chills, and I wanted to say, Aubrey, we need to turn back, we need to go back. Like, something in my head was saying go back, go back, go back, go back, and we kept walking. Just because sometimes I don't know if it's just because I'm being a pussy or if it's my body actually telling me go the fuck back. So I was like, okay, maybe you're just scared, keep walking. So we kept walking. Okay, I'm getting kind of scared because my room's in the basement and like the door's right there. I don't like, it's like too quiet right now. It's okay. We're walking and we hear 2 branches crack behind us, and I'm like, I shoot my head back and I'm like, did you hear that? And she's like, yeah. I was like, it's fine, Aubrey, just keep walking. So we keep walking and we hear more movement behind us, not trees like or branches cracking, like more like just like movement, like kind of like bushes moving. And I was like, bro, do you hear that or am I tripping? And she's like, no, I hear it, Megan. So I'm like, okay, whatever, just stay calm. And then it happened the 3rd time and we bolted. Like, we didn't even see anything at this time, we just ran, right? Aubrey was a little ahead of me because the thing is like anytime anything like this happens, I like when everyone's in front of me just so I can like make sure everyone's there. And right behind Aubrey, and you guys saying this, I know you guys are not going to believe me, but you please believe me because I'm not lying. Like, genuinely from the bottom of my heart, not lying. And I was almost throwing up and crying after this, like genuinely. So standing behind Aubrey, well, chasing Aubrey actually, is this tall black man with a long stretched out face. He didn't really have a face. He just had like a long mouth and like long eyes, kind of like that, all black body. And he was like hovering over Aubrey because it's like he was right there. He could have like got Aubrey if he wanted to. But he was just like kind of pacing, like this was Aubrey and this was him, and he was just like kind of pacing with her, if that makes sense. And I'm just like running, like I'm running basically next to it, and I'm just like looking up at it. Like I didn't say anything, like I didn't. So we get to one of like the houses, because like I said, we're a pathway behind houses. So we come out where we can like kind of run out in one of their front yards, if that makes sense. So we get there and I like put my hands on my knees like this and I'm breathing heavy and I'm crying and Aubrey's like, Megan, what was that? What the fuck was that? And I'm like I can't breathe because I don't think she saw it. If I'm wrong, Aubrey, correct me in the comments. I don't think she saw it, but I'm out of breath, like crying, and I'm like, Aubrey, I'm gonna throw up. I can't catch my breath. And she's like trying to hold me and like walk me down the court because basically I live on courts, and so we were trying to get to the end to get like to the main thing, if that makes sense. If you guys want me to, I can like always pull up a map and explain it, but that's like, I don't know. And so we're walking, and I'm not even joking. You can tell I'm just looking back every single second. I'm like, I'm not joking. I tell Aubrey, you look forward, I'll look back, because we need to make sure like that wasn't someone real, even though deep down I knew it wasn't, because he was right there. He was literally right there. I just heard something on my door. No one better try to scare me right now, because I will actually fucking kill someone. I'm actually scared. And thinking back to this, oh my God, now I'm hearing shit. We got back and I'm like crying and I don't even know what we do. Oh yeah, we come in my room, we sit down still out of breath, and then that's when we kind of like calm down a little because, you know, we're in my room, we're safe, but we're still like looking around my room like we don't want to leave my room. Like it was just so bad. I don't know, but whatever it is, we haven't gone back since. So yeah. But thanks for watching my story time, guys. If you guys want more, comment, because I have so many more, because stuff has happened in my house, at other people's houses, around my house, and yeah, so love you guys. Bye.
To this day, when somebody gives me a compliment and says that I look like somebody else, I do not trust your ass. But let me tell you why. When I was in like 9th grade, there was this dude at school that kept fucking telling me, oh, you look like Rihanna. I don't even fucking look like Rihanna. Y'all can see that, right? Right? We can see that, right? But I'm gonna tell you why the shit started getting weird. So we had a library that was like upstairs, so you had to walk all the way upstairs to go to the library, right? And on this day, I had to use the bathroom. So I get to the library upstairs, and you have to walk down this dark hall where the lights flickering and they look all creepy and shit. But I really didn't give a fuck because I really had to pee this day. So I go into the bathroom, right? I'm by myself the whole time, but I had on this is back when everybody used to wear them little Dre beats. So I had my headphones on, but for some reason when I was in the bathroom, I felt like something was up. Like I felt like something was very fucking strange. So I pulled my fucking headphones off the first time, and I was thinking to myself, like, I looked up, I looked down, I looked all the fuck around. Like, I'm like, something's not right. So I put my headphones back on. I finished using the bathroom, and as I'm coming out the fucking stall, I just see a fucking eye peering on the side of the fucking door. Like, literally, like, it's like the door was closed, but this is all you could fucking see. Bro, when I tell you that shit shook the fuck out of me so fucking bad, I was like, what the fuck? So I walk up to the fucking counter and I put some soap on my hand to quickly wash my hands and grab a paper towel. When I grab the paper towel, he comes out of the stall and was standing behind me like this, like, just with a straight face. Like, bro, I ran all the way the fuck out that bathroom. And bitch, I ran all the way to the administrator office. Like, what the fuck? And then, like, after I told the principal he did that shit, I swear to God, I never seen that dude again. Like, never. Like, not even in the hallway.
911, where's your emergency?
There is a strange man outside our home, and he's hollering, and he's crying out. I don't know what's going on with him.
Can you see anything about him, what he looks like?
No, it's dark and raining.
Okay. Did he have a vehicle, or is he on foot?
He's on foot.
Has he come to your door or windows?
He's at our door.
He's at your front door?
He's at our back deck.
At the back deck? Okay, hold on 1 second for me, okay?
I'm gonna give you my wife. I'm gonna go get my gun.
Hello? Ma'am, hold on 1 second for me, okay? Okay. Oh my God. Ma'am, what's wrong?
He's trying to break down the door.
Okay, ma'am, we've got deputies headed that way, okay?
Alright, thank you.
Don't hang up with me, okay?
Okay.
No matter, listen, I want to tell you something. No matter what happens, just don't hang the phone up. You can set it down if you have to.
I don't know. I think he's got a gun.
At this moment, the situation takes an even darker turn. The intruder, in his confused and inebriated state, appears to be armed. The fear in the household escalates. The potential threat level just spiked. Despite the dim light and the looming fear, the Hoovers are uncertain if the man truly has a gun, or it's a case of impaired judgment due to the dark and tense situation. Their lives, however, hang in the balance of this crucial unknown.
Get out of the way, get out of the way. He has a gun. I don't know if that's what he's got.
Ma'am, can you see the gun?
No, I don't know if that's what it is. He's trying to break down the door. I can't tell.
She can't tell. She's on the house. Can you ask your husband what kind of gun it is?
He's just beating the door.
I hear, ma'am. Ma'am, can you see if he has a gun or not?
I cannot see, no. We've got louvers on the door, and the door is shut. It's a sliding glass door.
She can't tell. He told her husband he had a gun. Ma'am, is he able to get in the door?
Not right now. He's trying. He's asking what date it is. He's talking about something about Vietnam in 1969.
He's talking about Vietnam.
I don't want to hurt you, okay?
Oh my God! Oh God! He's getting ready to come in. Oh my God! Please get somebody here quick!
Ma'am.
Yeah.
What happened?
He just came through. My husband shot him, but he's still moving. Oh Lord.
Okay, the husband shot him. Where did he shoot him?
I don't know.
Where's your husband?
He's standing here in the kitchen to make sure he doesn't come in.
Okay, I want you to tell your husband to put the gun down.
But if he comes in to try and attack us,
ma'am, if he shot him, he's not, ma'am. If he shot him, he's not going to get up. Tell your husband to put the gun down, please.
She says to put the gun down, but...
Is he laying on the ground? Is he breathing?
We cannot tell. It is still dark.
Is he on the back deck?
Yes, he's laying on the back deck, I guess.
Okay.
So let's talk about the horrifically senseless and tragic case of Shauna Howe. So Shauna was an 11-year-old girl who was walking home from a Halloween party on October 27th, 1992 in the city of Oil City, Pennsylvania, when she was abducted off the street. Now, Shauna would be missing for 2 days before her lifeless body was found at the bottom of a ravine. The monsters who abducted her literally threw her off a bridge 200 feet in the air while she was still alive, plummeting her to her death. Shauna's case would go cold for almost a decade before finally in 2002, DNA matched two local brothers, Timothy and James O'Brien, with her abduction. Both were quickly found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. Starting in 1992, when Shauna's body was found, the city of Oil City, Pennsylvania voted to ban trick-or-treating. Even after her abductors were caught in 2002, the ban wasn't lifted until 2008. So for over 15 years, this town did not allow trick-or-treating.
So I told this story already once on my TikTok, but I think people thought that it was fake because of the way I conveyed it. So I'm going to tell it again in a way that I think people are actually going to take it in for what it is, okay? Because this is a real true story, and it's why you should never make friends at a bar or make friends and fully like put your trust in them, okay? This was like my moment of realization that you cannot trust other women just because they're women. Like, not everybody is a girl's girl. And this is what solidified that for me. So one night I went to this bar by myself because I didn't want to go home. I was in a really abusive relationship with my ex, baby, father. So whatever, I didn't want to go home to get belittled, beaten, and whatever. So I decided to go to the bar by myself. Now I would have gone with some friends, but I had moved away from my hometown for this motherfucker. So I had no friends, and so I decided that I was just gonna go by myself, clear my head, get a couple drinks, and then I would go home. Hopefully he'd be sleeping by then. So I order myself a Paloma. Those are so good. Don't sleep on those. It makes me feel like a rich bitch when I order one of those. Like, hey, can I please get a Paloma? And they look at me like, you know what the fuck that is? Anyways, yeah, so I order a Paloma, and I'm sitting there, I'm drinking it, I'm minding my fucking business. I'm literally not conversing with anybody because I am depressed. I'm thinking about what's gonna happen to me when I go home.
when in comes this girl who introduces herself to me as Maggie. And I'm using her real name because I don't even think that was her real name. I think she just gave me a random name, which in hindsight, I should have done the same. So then she asks me what I'm drinking. I tell her what it is, and she orders 2 more and pushes one over to me and, gets one for herself. And then we just have like normal bar small talk. At the time, I thought that she was going to be like one of my friends, I thought she was a safe person. I thought she was cool to hang out with, and that it would be like a good, little dynamic to get me away from this abuse. Come to find out, I was wrong about that. Fast forward, the bar's closing and I'm drunk and I still don't want to go home because at that point, like, I know that guy is still awake. I know that I'm gonna go home and he's going to be like, you cheated on me, and then pop, 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 pop. So couldn't do that, didn't want to do that. And I had nowhere else to go because, like I said, this was a new area for me. I moved away from my friend's family and everything to live in this guy's house with him. So whatever, Maggie could tell that I didn't want to go home. So she invited me to go to what she was going to after she left the bar, which was she was going to go to like a bonfire at her friend Josh's house. Again, using the real name because I don't think these are their real names. So stupidly, I was like, yes, I will go with you because I don't want to go home. The car ride was fine, okay? The car ride was great. I remember jamming. We had all the windows down. Honestly, I felt like I was riding in the car with my best friend. Like, it was those type of vibes. It was vibes. So then she starts driving down this like dirt road, which isn't, I'm thinking like, okay, this person probably lives on a dirt road. Like, we literally live out in the middle of nowhere. So I'm assuming that she knows where she's going. Okay, everything's fine. Then instead of pulling into like some kind of neighborhood or even like a driveway or anything like that, she pulls into a clearing, turns the car off, and then literally just turns to me. Like, she just turns to face me and she just stares at me. And I'm like, can I help you? Like, so at that point, I just assume that something's wrong with the car. And I'm like, what's wrong? What's going on? Is everything okay? And so calmly, this girl looks at me and she goes, get out of the car. I'm sorry, what? Get out of this car? You want me to get out of my seat? And at first I was like, dude, I'm not going outside. It's dark outside. I'm scared of the fucking dark. Hell no. She wasn't having it. She just wanted me to get out of the car. She pulled out this little tiny, like little small pocket knife, like something that like wouldn't even defend off a freaking cat, So I don't really know why I was so scared. I don't want to be stabbed by anything, So I got out of the car and then she gets out on her side, comes around to my side, stares at me for another like maybe 5 seconds, I don't know. And then she says, I'm gonna give you a 20-second head start, okay? Like literally like, okay, okay. Girl, what do you mean? I couldn't even believe what I was hearing. What? You have got to be fucking joking with me. You have got to be fucking joking with me right now. This is not happening. So I stand there for another like couple seconds, not really believing what she's saying to me. And then she literally is like, I'm giving you 20 seconds. She said it one more time. She said, I'm giving you 20 seconds. You should probably take the 20 seconds. What? So I start sprinting through these dark ass woods with my boots on. I'm drunk. I'm disoriented. I don't know where I am. I've never been in these woods before. I've never been on this road before. As I'm running, I can hear her running behind me. And she did give me 20 seconds. It was probably like more like 10 seconds at that point, but she gave me a couple seconds to like sprint for my life through these woods. And like as I was running, right, she's behind me, I can see a flashlight, and then I start to see another flashlight, and I'm like thinking to myself, like, okay, what the fuck is this? And like maybe this is her friend. This has to be her fucking friend. This has to be Josh, right? So I'm running for my life. They're following me. Both of them are following me. I don't have my flashlight on. I'm kind of far ahead of them, okay? Like, I can only see their flashlight and barely hear their feet, like, pitter-pattering behind me. So I get to this river, okay? I don't want to cross the river because I know, like, I'm going to get stuck in this river. Like, it's going too fast for me to cross in a timely fashion so that they're not going to get me. So I scope everything out as best as I can in the dark, and right to my left there's like this hollowed out log, and so I dive in there, like fucking literally like blink into this fucking hollowed out log. Don't know if there's an animal in there, probably just chilling with the spiders. I don't care. I shit you not, about like maybe 10 seconds after I nosedived into that hollow log, I hear them. I can hear them running right next to the river, like right where I just was, right where I was hiding in the log. So then I hear Maggie say, maybe she crossed the river. We should go across the river. And then the deeper voice, to which I assume was absolutely had to be Josh, he was like, well, okay, maybe you should go check across the river and I'll check on this side of the river and see where she's hiding. She couldn't have gotten very far. I am sweating. I'm holding back tears. I'm trying not to be that girl in the horror movie that like lets out a and then they fucking find her. I'm barely breathing in this hollow log and I don't move for the entire night. And they spent a long time out there looking for me, like in the vicinity, before they started like, you know, going deeper into the woods or wherever it is that they decided to go. I don't know if they gave up looking for me or what, but yeah, I stayed in that log for the whole entire night. Somehow I ended up falling asleep because I remember waking up and seeing like the light of dawn. Like it was barely dawn in the morning. And that was the only time that I sort of felt safe coming out. And even then I was like, what if they like waited? What if they like are sitting out here like hunters, like waiting for me to come? What is going on? Whole time I did have my phone with me, but there's no service out in the woods. There's no service out on the back roads where I live. So I was fucked. I had no way of communicating with anybody and my fucking phone was like fully charged, dude. That being said, I did have means of calling somebody once I did get to a public road, and I called my brother and he was there. He brings me to the police station and I filed my report or whatever, but nothing ever came of it because like I said, I'm pretty sure she gave me fake ass names. Like those were not their names. Of course, why would she be giving me their real names if they were going to be hunting me? It's super scary to think that I literally could have died. I almost died in a really scary way. Like that is one of my biggest fears. Like I want to die peacefully, okay? I don't want to die like that. I barely made it away unscathed. I don't trust people you meet. I know that we're all like, you can never trust a man and you should more frequently be able to trust women, but you can't even trust the women. Girl, she was like my age. Like I was around 21, 22 maybe. Not everybody is a girl's girl and not everybody has good intentions. Like there are some conniving ass bitches out there. Wonder if they've done that to somebody before, or if I was like gonna be the first one or something like that and then I got away and then maybe they did that to somebody else. What the like, is that just like her game? Like she goes into bars and drinks with people and then invites them out and then goes and hunts them with her friend or boyfriend or husband or whoever the frig that guy was? I have no answers. I only have the story to tell. Moral of the story, don't trust anyone.
One of the most chilling small town murders happened right where I live. It's 1989 in Knoll, Missouri. A bank teller arrives to open the bank just to find that it's already unlocked. As she walks in, she's realized a robbery has occurred and there's $70,000 missing from the vault. The thing is, it doesn't look like someone has broken, it looks like they were let in. And there were only 3 people with keys to the bank. It was the teller, another teller, and the bank's president. Police are able to locate the other teller, but who they're not able to locate is Dan Short, the bank president. Everybody immediately started looking for Dan, and it took several days to find him, but they finally did. And the way they found Dan was one of the most horrific things the town of Knoll had ever seen. One thing to keep in mind is Dan was actually a suspect until they found his body. Dan's body was found about 20 minutes from Knoll, Missouri, in Grand Lake, which is located in Grove, Oklahoma. They found him tied to a chair floating on Grand Lake with bricks tied to the chair to try and hold him down. Police were able to determine what bridge Dan was thrown off of, and this happens to be a bridge that I was actually married by. Police were not only looking for thieves at this point, but they were looking for cold-blooded murderers. 8 long years went by before police were able to find Dan Short's murderers. In part 2, I'm going to tell you how the murder happened and who did it, so I will see you there.
This is why you can't just let somebody you barely know into your home. There's this terrifying story circulating right now of a woman who went on a date with a man that she had met on a dating app. The date went really well, they had lots of chemistry and were really into each other. On top of that, he just seemed like an overall good guy. After their date, they parted their ways and just just planned to see each other another time. But when the woman got home, she got a call from her date, who explained that his roommate had locked him out of their apartment and wasn't answering the phone. So he asked if he could come and hang out at her place until his roommate responded. She was a little weary of this because, yes, although the date went great, she didn't really know him that well after just one time of meeting. But she feels bad and thinks, what's the worst that could happen? So she gives him her address and lets him into her house. They hang out for a little bit longer before she finally decides that she's going to bed. She let him know that he was welcome to stay on her couch until he received a response from his roommate. She goes into her bedroom and locks the door behind her. She falls asleep, but then is woken up by a knock on her bedroom door. Her date is at the door telling her that his phone died and asking if she has a charger so he can try to keep in contact with his roommate. She doesn't open the door, but instead tells him that there should be a charger somewhere in the kitchen drawer. After a few minutes, he comes back and knocks on the door again. This time, he says the charger isn't working, and he's wondering if she has a charger for him to use in her bedroom. At this point, she's feeling uneasy, and just to be safe, she calls 911. When police arrive and are able to make entry into her apartment, they knock on her bedroom door and tell her that she needs to come out of her room so they can show her what they've just found in her living room. When she opens the door, she sees a plastic tarp laid out on the floor with a lineup of tools along with it.
There are people who remember entire towns that don't appear on any map. Not old ones, not digital ones, not even historical records. There's a disturbing phenomenon called the memory gaps in maps, and if it's true, then there are entire places on Earth that were erased without anyone noticing. It usually starts the same way. Someone tries driving to a town they swear they've been to before. They remember the streets, the buildings, even the smell of the place. But when they search it online, nothing. No photos, no history, no map data. It's like the town never existed. One man in North Carolina said he grew up visiting a tiny mountain town called Rose Hollow. He remembers the diner on the corner, he remembers the rusty water tower, he even remembers getting lost near the old church with the red door. But here's the problem, there's never been a town called Rose Hollow in that entire region. Old maps, nothing. County records, nothing. Locals, they say the area he described is just forest and has always been a forest. And here's where it gets eerie. Everyone who reports this phenomenon remembers the same features: a water tower, a single diner, a church, one main street, and a small population. It's like they all visited the same forgotten place. Some people think these towns weren't erased. They were never meant to exist in this timeline, and our memories come from a version of reality where they did exist. Others think these towns exist in the in-between, slipping in and out of our world like bad rendering. But the darkest theory? These places are still out there, just not accessible by normal roads anymore. People say if you drive long enough, far enough, and ignore your GPS, you'll eventually reach a place the maps forgot. Stay weird.
So did y'all hear about that town that literally disappeared off the face of the earth for like 6 minutes? So listen, this pop up on TikTok and Reddit threads every few years, and nobody could decide if it's real or not. So let me take y'all down the rabbit hole and tell y'all what happened. I'm gonna take my head down for this one because it gets a little bit real. Now this is a story. So it's called the Everfield disappearance, and in 2014 a small rural town in Oregon with a population of like 700 people vanished off the face of the earth. I'm talking every digital trace of this place, and during that time GPS systems couldn't find it. Phone calls got rerouted. Like if you looked on Google Maps, it would just show like a forest. Then at the same time, people in nearby towns, they said that their lights started to flicker and they heard distorted sounds over the radio. But then exactly 6 minutes later, boom, everything just went back to normal. The town just popped up back on the maps. All the calls went through, and the people inside the town act normal, like nothing happened. I don't even think they knew that it happened. Then when journalists tried to follow up on it, they found out that Everfield, Oregon didn't even appear on any state registry until 2015. Like the town just started existing that year. But even crazier, there's no records of public birth certificates, property deeds, or any census data from that town before that date. People online think it was a data glitch. Others say it was a mass time slip. And a few conspiracy forums say it was a part of a military experiment. But the part that keeps people up at night, it's a Reddit user claiming he was a delivery driver and he was in Enfield that night. He said that during the blackout for those 6 minutes, there was nobody else in town. The streets was empty, the lights was on, and every single clock in the town froze at 2:23 a.m. He posted photos, but then the thread was removed. It said something like manipulated content. and his account was deleted an hour later. Now, if you try to find Everfield on Google Maps, it's there, but if you zoom in real close, the clock in the middle of the town still says 2:23. It's crazy, right?